Let's hit it this way. President Trump threatened to invade, to attack Nigeria, and some Nigerians seem divided with this. Some are saying they're in support of the U.S. invading Nigeria, while others are calling for caution. And the president just said that, look, Nigeria is committed to the fight against terrorism and that we're going to defeat terror. You are in the opposition. Will you subscribe to President Trump and the U.S. invading Nigeria to attack to attack Nigeria, or will you support the U.S. collaborating with Nigeria to defeat terrorism?
Thank you so much. I think this is not time to apportion blame to anybody. And Nigeria is a sovereign nation, and another country trying to invade another country ordinarily is not even acceptable. We know that U.S. is playing a senior brother role, a big brother's role. But I don't think that what President Trump is saying is threatening Nigeria, sovereignty or peace of Nigeria. That statement was to the terrorists. He wasn't even saying he's invading Nigeria to attack Nigeria. Is he going to attack us, all of us? Are all of us terrorists? He's talking to terrorists in Nigeria. Because if you agree with me, terrorism is eating deep in the Nigerian system. And it's glaring. Everybody can see it. So for me, I think blaming and counter-blaming is not what we need. What we need is strategic collaboration, strategic engagement between the United States and Nigeria to see a way to support the systems that we have in Nigeria to be able to combat this terrorism, to be able to combat this violence, these killings that is ravaging the country. So it's not, I don't see it as a threat. I see it as, you know, somebody saw what is happening in another country and he feels it shouldn't be so. Of course, we are members of UN, United Nations, and there are United Nations Charter of Peace and Human Rights, safeguarding human rights, and Nigeria is party to it. So any nation that sees what is happening in Nigeria must be interested. All
right, Mr. Ahanotu, you rightly mentioned that Nigeria is a sovereign nation. And, you know, President Trump is alleging Christian genocide in Nigeria. No one is disputing the fact that there is insecurity in Nigeria. But do you also believe that there's some kind of religious undertone to the killings? Do you agree with the Christian genocide label? You know,
over the years, there has been this Christian-Muslim dichotomy kind of crisis. You know, somebody that stayed in the north, like me, I schooled in the north, most times you see us running to the barracks in those days, you know, to find shelter when we are in ABU's area. And I participated in an election in a Gabi local government. You see, there is this kind of selective, you know, attack on individuals. And I don't think blaming the Muslims, because there are good Muslims. There are Muslims that are not violent. I schooled with them. I lived with them. They are not part of what is happening. Some of them are even confused. You know, there are also Christians that are participating in terrorism. It's not about Christian and Muslim. Rather, I think it's the players that are making it look as if it's Christian-Muslim fight. For me, I don't see it that way. The truth is that in the north, Christians in the north have faced a lot of persecution. In the south, Christians in the south doesn't face any persecution. We can see it visibly. It's visible that Christians in the north are facing a lot of persecution. Nobody can hide it, you know. But I don't want us to now begin to say that this is a pure Christian attack. There are Muslims in the north that are killed. But you know, when you check the indices, the number of Christians that are killed in some of those cases are more, far more.
All right, Mr. Kennedy, I would like to cast your mind back to an event that happened, I think sometime last year or 2 years ago, where in a church in Owo, Christians were massacred. And that is the narrative that is coming up now. That happened in the south. So how would you now justify that this is not an attack targeted at Christians? Yes, we accept that Muslims also are dying, but we see targeted attacks at Christians in churches.
Thank you so much. You know, terrorism is not something that you paint with religious color. You know, jihadist movement is not something you say, these are extremists, and they want to make news. Where do you make news? Where do people gather? In churches, people gather every Sunday in large numbers. And if you look at that our attack, these guys, they came as a terrorist and they attacked the church. It's not as if that they are members of that state, they are from that state. They moved from somewhere to come and make news. It's news that they want to make. They want to hit the government. They want to make the government react. They want to make people see you as a failure. They are determined to destroy the systems in Nigeria. And that is why I feel that our leaders need to, approach this, not with kid gloves. They need to approach it, with a rigid hand. Let the government have the will to say enough is enough. Where are the security agencies? Our attack couldn't have happened if you followed it very well. If the security agencies are doing that, why are weapons and all this sensitive material moving along our highways? Are there not security agencies on that highway? Are there not security personnel? No. What they do is that they now protect themselves. The moment you become a councillor, you get 2 police officers that will be following you. The moment you become a House of Assembly member, you get 3, 4, or 5 police officers that will be following you. You become a House of Reps, you are sure of 10 police officers that will be following you. So the security men should have been in strategic position. Intelligent gathering is lacking. So if you say, yes, I agree. There are, even in Madala, it was not in a church that was attacked. It was a church. But I don't want us to begin to divide ourselves further by saying is Muslim against Christians.
Okay, I think recently was it in Zamfara, Katsina State, about 43 or so people were massacred in a mosque. So it shows that, just like you said, that these extremists want to make news. But now, how do we now move to talk about the Christian leaders, the Muslim leaders, so that these divisive forces do not penetrate our fault lines? How should the government begin to coordinate affairs? Like before every election, you have the peace committee, make politicians sign. Shouldn't we elevate this beyond just before an election and really see how we can sit Christians and Muslim leaders down and let them understand that to live together is better than to be antagonizing ourselves in what we call a nation?
Before we look at solutions and how we galvanize, this relationship between Islamic clerics and Christian leaders, we have to first of all look at the foundation. How did this penetrate? This came into being by weaponization of political institutions and political engagement. It is politicians that want to perpetually be in power that brought this into place in the first place. So how do we resolve it? We have to demobilize political engagement and make it to be democratic in nature. It shouldn't be do or die affair. Today, you see endorsements in churches. Prophets or even give hint of a judgment of who will be a governor and who will not be a governor. Are you getting it? You go to mosque, he will tell you this is the person we are supporting. It's not supposed to be so. Prophets and clerics are supposed to be spiritual leaders. They pray for the nation. They are not supposed to be engaged in politics. But the politicians have succeeded in bringing. There are pastors that governors don't worship in their church. There are pastors that governor worships in their church. Today in Nigeria, there are bishops that governors interact with, presidents interact with. There are bishops that president. Even in the last election, you saw because of the Christian-Muslim dichotomy and issue, some bishops have to be arranged to come and campaign for our current president. Is it not wrong? It's wrong. Why? Because they want to bring religious bias, religious sensitivity into politics. So it is this our political leaders, some already are apportioning blame to themselves. You're on the news, some of these political leaders are apportioning blame to themselves on how this terrorism and insecurity came to be. And truly that was how it came to be. So if we must solve the problem, we must first of all tell ourselves that politicians, we must not engage youths that are available for crime in political engagement. Because when you weaponize them, tell them to go and maim your opponent and make the system ungovernable so that you'll be able to have a smooth sail into your political office. The moment you leave them, and it's difficult to maintain them, the moment you leave them, if you say 20 of you bring back your guns, 20 will never return their guns. Maybe 10 will return it, 10 will run away with it. Because you cannot service terrorists. You can't service them. It's very expensive